The Vorthak ship moved through space like a giant metal beast hunting for its next meal. Commander Zexthul stood on the bridge watching the stars pass by, while his crew searched for new worlds to attack. His species had been doing this for thousands of years, and they were very good at it. The Vorthak looked like huge insects with sharp claws and teeth that could cut through metal. Their skin was black and hard like armor, and their eyes could see heat from far away. They had destroyed 17 different alien civilizations and eaten most of their people. Zexthul loved the hunt more than anything else. He had killed creatures on dozens of worlds, and each victory made him feel more powerful. His ship was filled with weapons and soldiers who were just as hungry for battle as he was. The Empire had sent him to find new prey in this part of the galaxy, and he would not disappoint them. The scanner operator looked up from his station with excitement in his voice. "Commander, we have found something interesting. There is a blue and green world in the next system with life forms on it." Zexthul walked over to see the readings for himself. The planet looked perfect for hunting. It had water and air that could support many different types of creatures. His claws clicked against the metal floor as he moved closer to the screen. "Show me what lives there," he ordered. The scanner went deeper into the planet's surface and found cities filled with strange two-legged creatures. They walked upright like some aliens the Vorthak had seen before, but these looked different. They had soft skin with no natural armor or claws. Their bodies seemed weak and small compared to most species the Empire had fought. "These creatures look very easy to catch," said the scanner operator. "They have no visible weapons on their bodies, and they seem to live in small groups. Perfect prey for the Empire." Zexthul studied the images more carefully. The creatures had built things on their world, but nothing that looked dangerous. They moved around in metal vehicles and lived in tall buildings, but he had seen much more advanced civilizations fall to Vorthak power. These soft creatures would be no challenge at all. "Send a message to the High Command," he told his communication officer. "Tell them we have found an optimal prey species. Request permission to begin the harvest." Meanwhile, on the edge of Earth's solar system, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the defense station Olympus 7. He was drinking coffee and reading reports when his sensors started making noise. The computer showed strange energy patterns coming from outside the system. Jake had been stationed here for 3 years and had never seen anything like this before. "Lieutenant, what am I looking at?" he asked his sensor officer. "I'm not sure, sir. The patterns don't match anything in our database. The energy signatures are definitely artificial, but not from any human technology I know about." Jake felt his stomach tighten. First contact with alien life had always been a possibility, but most scientists thought it would happen differently. These readings suggested ships that were much larger than anything humans had ever built. "Send an alert to Earth Defense Command immediately," Jake ordered. "Priority 1 message to Admiral Rodriguez. Tell her we have unknown contacts approaching the solar system." On Earth, Admiral Lisa Rodriguez was in a meeting when the emergency message arrived. She had spent her whole career preparing for threats from space, but had always imagined they would come from human enemies or natural disasters. The thought of hostile aliens was something she had trained for but hoped would never happen. She quickly called together her top officers and scientists. The meeting room filled with worried faces as everyone read the reports from Olympus 7. The energy signatures were unlike anything they had seen, and the size estimates were frightening. "How long until these ships reach Earth?" she asked. "Based on their current speed, we estimate 6 days," replied her intelligence officer. "But we don't know if they plan to stop or keep going." At the Luna Research Station, Dr. Peter Chen was working late in his lab when the emergency communication came through. As Earth's top expert on potential alien life, he was one of the first people called when the strange ships were detected. He looked at the data from Olympus 7 and felt both excitement and fear. For years he had wondered what aliens might be like if humans ever met them. He had always hoped they would be peaceful and interested in sharing knowledge. But something about these ships made him nervous. They were moving in a formation that looked military, and their path was aimed directly at Earth. Peter started working on decoding any communications the ships might be sending. His computer systems were designed to look for patterns in radio signals that might indicate intelligent language. After several hours of work, he found something that made his blood run cold. The alien signals contained repeated words that his translation software identified as relating to food and hunting. The more he studied the messages, the more convinced he became that these aliens saw humans as something to eat rather than talk to. He immediately called Admiral Rodriguez with his findings. "Admiral, I think we have a serious problem. These aliens aren't here to make friends. Their communications suggest they see us as prey." Rodriguez felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Earth's defenses were strong against human enemies, but no one knew how they would work against alien technology. She gave orders to prepare all military forces for possible attack and to evacuate civilians from the outer colonies. Back on his ship, Zexthul received approval from the High Command to begin hunting operations. The Empire was pleased with his discovery and promised him great rewards if the harvest went well. He ordered his crew to prepare their weapons and hunting gear for the attack. "These soft creatures will feed the Empire for many cycles," he told his officers. "We will show them the power of the Vorthak and take what we need from their world." The Vorthak ship moved closer to Earth while broadcasting a message on all frequencies. The translation came through clearly to human receivers everywhere. "Prepare for consumption, soft ones. Your world shall feed the Empire. Resistance will only make your meat taste better." Jake Morrison heard the message on Olympus 7 and felt anger replace his fear. These aliens thought humans would be easy to catch and eat. They were about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. He began charging his station's weapons and sending final warnings to Earth. The hunt was about to begin, but the Vorthak had no idea what they were really hunting. The Vorthak fleet reached the outer edge of human space and chose their first target carefully. Mining Station Beta 9 floated in the asteroid belt, with 3,000 human workers inside. Commander Zexthul looked at the station through his ship's viewing screen and smiled with his sharp teeth. This would be perfect practice before attacking the main world. Station Commander Bill Harper was checking the morning reports when the alarm started screaming. His sensor operator shouted across the control room that massive alien ships were appearing all around them. Bill had served in the military for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. "How many ships are out there?" he asked while running to his command station. 12 large vessels, sir, and they're launching smaller attack pods toward us," came the reply. Bill immediately activated the station's emergency protocols. All civilian workers were ordered to the safe zones, while security teams prepared to defend the station. He sent a distress signal to Earth, knowing it would take hours for help to arrive. The first Vorthak boarding pod slammed into the station's outer hull like giant metal spears. The aliens inside were eager to begin hunting the soft creatures they expected to find cowering in fear. Warrior-class Vorthak soldiers poured through the holes in the station walls with their claws ready and their acidic saliva dripping with anticipation. Chief Security Officer Amy Watson was waiting for them with her team of guards. She had read the intelligence reports about these aliens and knew they thought humans would be easy prey. Amy had other ideas about that. Her team was armed with plasma rifles and explosive charges that could blow holes in metal walls. The first group of Vorthak warriors charged around a corner expecting to find terrified humans running away. Instead, they found Amy and her guards in a perfect ambush position. The aliens had never fought prey that used military tactics before, and the surprise attack killed half of them in the first few seconds. Amy's team moved quickly to new positions while the remaining Vorthak tried to understand what had happened. These creatures were supposed to be weak and afraid, but they fought like trained soldiers. The aliens had superior strength and natural weapons, but the humans seemed to know exactly how to use the station's layout against them. In the mining tunnels deep inside the station, Foreman Carlos Rivera was organizing the workers into fighting groups. Most of them had no military training, but they knew how to use heavy machinery and cutting tools. Carlos had worked in dangerous mines his whole life and was not about to let alien monsters hurt his people. The workers set up barriers in the narrow tunnels and created traps using mining explosives. When the Vorthak warriors tried to follow them into the deeper parts of the station, they found themselves walking into carefully planned ambushes. The humans used the darkness and tight spaces to their advantage, while the aliens struggled to move their large bodies through the cramped areas. What shocked the Vorthak most was how quickly the humans adapted to fighting them. Within just a few hours, the humans had figured out that Vorthak armor was weak at the joints, and that their enhanced hearing made them vulnerable to loud noises. The humans started using sonic mining equipment as weapons and targeting the aliens' weak spots with precise attacks. Dr. Helen Brooks was hiding in her research lab when she made an important discovery. While studying recordings of Vorthak battle sounds, she realized that the aliens had extremely sensitive hearing, that helped them hunt. She quickly sent this information to the security teams, along with instructions on how to build simple sound weapons. Amy Watson received the message and immediately had her team modify their equipment. They attached sonic emitters to their weapons and started using coordinated noise attacks to confuse and disable the Vorthak warriors. The aliens had never experienced anything like this, and many of them became disoriented and easy to defeat. Commander Zexthul watched the battle from his ship and could not believe what he was seeing. His warriors were some of the best hunters in the Empire, but they were being beaten by creatures that should have been helpless prey. The reports from inside the station described humans using tactics and weapons that no prey species had ever used before. Captain Jake Morrison's defense fleet arrived at Beta 9, just as the battle was reaching its peak. He expected to find the station destroyed and the humans dead or captured. Instead, his sensors showed that the Vorthak ships were pulling back and their boarding parties were retreating from inside the station. Jake opened communication channels to the station and heard Bill Harper's voice. "Captain, this is Commander Harper. We've driven off the alien boarding parties and they're withdrawing to their ships." Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. A mining station with basic defenses had defeated an alien attack force that was supposed to be superior in every way. He quickly moved his ships into position to help finish driving off the Vorthak fleet. The space battle that followed was unlike anything either side had expected. The Vorthak had powerful weapons and strong ships, but they were used to fighting enemies that ran away or surrendered quickly. Human ships kept attacking even when they were damaged and used tactics that confused the alien commanders. Commander Zexthul found himself retreating from a battle he should have won easily. His hunting party had lost almost half of its warriors, and several of his ships were badly damaged. He had never experienced anything like this in all his years of conquest. As his fleet limped away from Beta 9, Zexthul sent a report to the High Command. He tried to explain how the prey creatures had fought like apex predators and used weapons and tactics that no other species had ever used against the Vorthak. His superiors were angry and confused by his failure. The High Command decided that Zexthul had simply underestimated the enemy and sent insufficient forces. They ordered him to gather a much larger fleet for a direct attack on the humans' homeworld. Surely overwhelming numbers would succeed where the smaller hunting party had failed. Back on Beta 9, the humans were treating their wounded and counting their losses. They had won the battle, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would return with more ships and warriors, and Earth needed to be ready for them. Bill Harper walked through the damaged sections of his station and felt proud of what his people had accomplished. They had faced an enemy that thought humans were nothing more than food and proved them wrong. The Vorthak had learned their first lesson about humanity, but there would be many more lessons to come. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez stood in the command center, watching the massive Vorthak fleet approach Earth. 200 alien warships moved through space like a swarm of deadly insects coming to destroy everything humans had built. She had spent 3 weeks preparing for this moment, and now the real test would begin. General Patrick Stone coordinated with ground forces across every continent, while President Mary Coleman gave final approval for Operation Crossroads. Every human military unit on Earth and in space was ready to fight for their survival. The plan was simple but desperate. Make the aliens pay such a high price for Earth that they would never want to fight humans. Again, the Vorthak fleet stopped just outside Earth's atmosphere and began their traditional pre-battle ritual. Commander Zexthul had been given command of the entire invasion force after promising the High Command that he would not fail again. This time he brought enough ships and warriors to crush any resistance the humans might offer. Zexthul looked down at the blue planet below and felt confident about victory. His previous defeat at the mining station had been embarrassing, but it taught him that these creatures were more dangerous than expected. That was why he brought 10 times as many ships for this attack. No prey species could stand against such overwhelming force. The orbital bombardment began with energy beams that turned human cities into burning ruins. The aliens expected this show of power to break human resistance before the ground invasion even started. Instead, the humans used the bombardment as cover to move their forces into hidden positions throughout the world. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy led the first ground engagement in the Australian desert. His battalion had been waiting in underground bunkers while the alien ships burned the surface above them. When Vorthak drop pods landed nearby, his soldiers emerged from hidden tunnels. like deadly ghosts appearing from nowhere. The Vorthak warriors that came out of the pods were equipped with personal energy shields and weapons that could cut through steel. They expected to find humans running in panic from the orbital attack. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by enemy soldiers who had turned the entire desert into a killing field filled with traps and ambush points. Murphy's troops used the rocky terrain and underground cave systems to their advantage. They would attack a group of aliens and then disappear into the rocks before the Vorthak could respond. The aliens had superior individual strength, but the humans fought as a coordinated team that seemed to be everywhere at once. Dr. Nina Patel worked frantically at the Geneva Research Center trying to break the Vorthak communication codes. She had been listening to alien radio traffic since the invasion began and noticed something interesting. The Vorthak commanders were becoming frustrated and confused by human tactics that they had never encountered before. Nina's translation software finally cracked the alien language and she could understand what the Vorthak officers were saying to each other. Their reports described humans as impossible prey that fought like apex predators, despite having soft bodies and no natural weapons. Many alien commanders were requesting permission to retreat from battles they should have been winning easily in space above Earth. Captain Jake Morrison commanded a fleet of human ships that had been reinforced by vessels from every colony in the solar system. Strategic Commander Kelly Zhang had developed new tactics specifically for fighting the larger Vorthak fleet. Instead of trying to match the aliens ship for ship, the humans would use speed and cunning to level the battlefield. The space battle began when human ships attacked in small groups from multiple directions. The Vorthak expected a traditional fleet engagement where the larger force would have clear advantages. Instead, they found themselves fighting dozens of separate battles against enemies that refused to stay in one place long enough to be destroyed. Human pilots flew their ships like weapons themselves, using ramming attacks and nuclear mines to destroy alien vessels much larger than their own. Many human ships were lost, but each one took several Vorthak ships with it. The aliens had never fought an enemy willing to sacrifice everything for victory. On the ground, Sergeant Tony Garcia's unit made an important discovery while fighting in the ruins of Chicago. The Vorthak warriors were showing signs of psychological stress that no prey species had ever caused before. Many aliens were hesitating during battles, and some were even refusing to advance when ordered by their commanders. Garcia realized that the Vorthak were mentally unprepared for prey that fought back effectively. Their entire culture was built around the idea that hunting was easy, and victims would always try to run away. Humans who stood and fought with deadly skill were breaking something fundamental in the alien mindset. As the battle continued across Earth, civilian populations began joining the fight in ways the Vorthak could never have predicted. Factory workers modified industrial equipment into weapons, while farmers used agricultural chemicals to create explosives. Even children helped by setting traps and providing intelligence about alien movements. The Vorthak found themselves fighting not just human soldiers, but an entire species that had turned hostile. Every human they encountered was a potential threat, whether they carried weapons or not. The aliens had conquered 17 civilizations, but none of them had ever responded to invasion with such complete and creative resistance. Dr. Frank Miller's research team made a breakthrough while studying captured Vorthak equipment. They discovered that the alien technology was built around rigid design principles that could not adapt to unexpected situations. Human engineers immediately began modifying alien weapons and systems in ways their original creators had never intended. The turning point came when human forces started using captured Vorthak energy shields and weapons against their former owners. The aliens watched in shock as their own technology was turned into more effective weapons in human hands. What had been their advantage became another human strength. Commander Zexthul received reports from across the planet that made no sense to him. His forces outnumbered the humans 10-1 and had superior technology, but they were losing battles everywhere. Human resistance was not breaking under pressure, but getting stronger and more dangerous with each engagement. The psychological impact on Vorthak forces became severe, as word spread that humans were not normal prey. Many alien warriors began refusing direct orders to attack human positions. Some reported seeing humans as demons that wore the faces of innocent creatures while fighting like the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The invasion that was supposed to last days had dragged on for weeks, with the Vorthak taking heavy losses while making little progress. For the first time in their history, the mighty empire was being stopped by creatures they had planned to eat. Major Kate O'Brien crouched behind the twisted metal remains of what used to be a shopping mall in downtown Denver. Her team had been tracking a group of Vorthak commanders for 3 days, and now they were finally close enough to strike. The aliens thought they were safe in their temporary command post, but they had made the mistake of underestimating human patience and planning. Kate signaled to her soldiers using hand gestures they had developed during weeks of fighting. The Vorthak could intercept radio communications, but they could not read human body language. Her team moved through the rubble like ghosts, while the aliens inside their shelter had no idea death was approaching from all sides. The attack came from 6 directions at once, using nothing but modified mining, equipment, and homemade explosives. Kate's people had learned that Vorthak armor was strong, but their command vehicles were vulnerable to sustained pressure attacks. Within minutes, the alien commanders were trapped inside their damaged shelter with no way to call for help. When Kate's team dragged the captured Vorthak officers back to human lines, the interrogation revealed something shocking. The aliens kept repeating that humans were impossible prey that broke all the natural laws of hunting. Their entire civilization was built around a simple idea that hunters were always stronger than their victims, but humans had destroyed that basic truth. Dr. Frank Miller studied the captured aliens and made an important discovery about Vorthak psychology. These creatures had never encountered a species that could change from prey to predator, depending on the situation. Their minds literally could not process the idea that the same creature could be both victim and hunter at different times. Frank's research showed that this mental limitation was the Vorthak's greatest weakness. They had conquered other civilizations by overwhelming them with superior force, but they had no response when their victims became equally dangerous opponents. The alien warriors were experiencing something like a mental breakdown as their basic understanding of the universe collapsed. Captain Jake Morrison had been promoted to admiral after his success in the early space battles. Now he commanded Operation Switchblade, which was designed to turn human desperation into a strategic weapon against the Vorthak fleet. Instead of defending human space, his ships would hunt alien vessels using tactics learned from Earth's greatest military leaders. Morrison's forces began stalking individual Vorthak ships like predators hunting prey. Human vessels would hide in asteroid fields and behind planets, waiting for lone alien ships to pass by. When they attacked, it was with overwhelming force designed to destroy the target before it could send a distress signal. The psychological impact on the Vorthak was devastating. They had come to human space as hunters, but now they were being hunted by an enemy that seemed to appear from nowhere. Alien commanders started keeping their ships in large groups and refused to send out scouts or patrol vessels. On Earth, civilian scientist Dr. Lucy Thompson had been working on a secret project in her university laboratory. She had studied recordings of Vorthak communications and realized their enhanced hearing was both a strength and a critical weakness. Lucy designed sonic weapons that could cause permanent damage to alien nervous systems. The first test of Lucy's sonic cannons happened during a battle in the ruins of New York City. Vorthak ground forces were advancing through the destroyed streets when human defenders activated the new weapons. The sound waves were tuned to frequencies that caused intense pain and disorientation in alien physiology. Hundreds of Vorthak warriors collapsed, screaming and clawing at their heads as the sonic attack destroyed their ability to coordinate or fight. Many aliens suffered permanent hearing damage, while others went completely insane from the overwhelming sensory assault. Word of this new human weapon spread terror through the remaining Vorthak forces. General Patrick Stone coordinated a global counteroffensive that combined traditional military tactics with the guerrilla warfare innovations developed by resistance cells worldwide. Human forces had learned to use every advantage their planet offered, while adapting captured alien technology in ways the Vorthak had never imagined possible. Stone's strategy was simple but effective. Instead of trying to match Vorthak's strength directly, humans would attack their enemies' weaknesses while avoiding direct confrontation whenever possible. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to play by the rules of warfare they understood. Captain Rachel, Kim's engineering team, had spent weeks studying captured Vorthak equipment and made breakthrough discoveries about alien technology. The Vorthak built their weapons and ships using principles that were extremely advanced but also completely inflexible. Human engineers began modifying alien systems to work in ways their creators never intended. The most successful modification was turning Vorthak energy weapons into much more powerful versions of themselves. Human technicians removed the safety systems and power limitations that the aliens used to prevent accidents. The result was weapons that could destroy Vorthak armor and ships with devastating effectiveness. Commander Zexthul sat in his command ship watching his invasion force fall apart around him. More than half of his ships had been destroyed or damaged by human attacks, and his remaining warriors were refusing orders to engage enemy forces. The creatures that were supposed to be easy prey had become the most dangerous opponents the Empire had ever faced, reports from across the battlefield described humans as demons that could not be defeated through normal means. Vorthak warriors told stories of human soldiers who kept fighting even after being wounded, and civilians who turned household items into deadly weapons. The aliens had never encountered anything like human determination and creativity under pressure. The breaking point came when human forces captured an entire Vorthak supply depot using nothing but stolen alien equipment, operated by former factory workers. The humans had learned to use Vorthak technology better than the aliens themselves, while developing new tactics that exploited every weakness in alien strategy. Zexthul received orders from the High Command to continue the invasion, but he knew it was hopeless. His forces were being systematically destroyed by an enemy that got stronger and more dangerous with each battle. The humans had evolved from helpless prey into apex predators in just a few weeks of fighting. The final straw came when human ships began appearing in Vorthak territory, attacking alien colonies and supply lines. Somehow the prey species had learned to hunt the hunters on their own ground using captured ships and weapons. The Empire's greatest military disaster was becoming a complete reversal of everything. The Vorthak thought they knew about warfare as his remaining ships prepared to retreat. From human space, Zexthul sent a final report to his superiors. The humans were not a prey species at all, but something far more dangerous. They were adaptive predators that could become whatever the situation required, and they had just declared war on the entire Vorthak Empire. Admiral Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her flagship watching the Vorthak Empire's home system grow larger on the viewing screen. 6 months ago, these aliens had come to Earth expecting to harvest humanity like cattle, but now human fleets were hunting them across the galaxy. The war that was supposed to end with human extinction had become the Empire's worst nightmare. The pursuit fleet Rodriguez commanded was made up of ships that mixed human engineering with captured Vorthak technology. Human crews had learned to operate alien systems better than their original builders, while adding modifications that turned every vessel into a more deadly weapon. The hunters had become the hunted in the most complete way possible. Behind Rodriguez, the other ship commanders waited for orders to begin the final assault on Zerion Prime. General Patrick Stone would lead the ground invasion while Admiral Jake Morrison coordinated space operations. Dr. Peter Chen monitored alien communications that showed the Vorthak leadership was in complete panic about the approaching human forces. The psychological warfare had been devastating to alien morale. Human forces had developed tactics specifically designed to exploit Vorthak mental weaknesses discovered during months of fighting. The aliens could not understand how prey creatures had become apex predators, and this confusion made them easy targets for human strategy. Dr. Nina Patel's intelligence reports showed that the Vorthak Empire was collapsing from within as word spread about their defeats against humanity. Other alien species that had been conquered by the Empire were starting rebellions, while Vorthak colonies surrendered without fighting when human ships appeared in their systems. The attack on Zerion Prime began with human ships dropping out of hyperspace in perfect attack formation. The Vorthak home fleet tried to respond, but their commanders were paralyzed by fear of the creatures that had destroyed their military might. Many alien ships retreated without firing a shot, while others surrendered immediately when human forces demanded it. Morrison's space forces had evolved far beyond simple naval tactics into something that resembled a pack of intelligent predators hunting together. Human ships coordinated their attacks with a precision that confused alien defenders who expected individual combat rather than collective intelligence applied to warfare. The orbital bombardment of Zerion Prime was conducted with weapons that the Vorthak had originally designed for hunting prey species. Human engineers had modified these systems to be far more effective than their creators ever imagined possible. The irony was not lost on anyone that the Empire was being destroyed by its own technology. General Stones. Ground forces landed on Zarian Prime using Vorthak, drop pods that had been captured and improved during the war. The human soldiers who emerged from these pods were no longer the soft creatures the aliens had originally planned to eat. Months of fighting had turned them into something that even veteran Vorthak warriors feared to face. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Murphy led his Special Forces unit toward the Vorthak High Command center in the planet's capital city. His soldiers moved through the alien streets like deadly ghosts using stealth technology stolen from the Empire and modified with human innovation. The Vorthak guards never saw them coming until it was too late. The aliens defending their homeworld fought with desperation, but they were facing an enemy that had learned all their weaknesses while developing new strengths of its own. Human forces used sonic weapons to disable Vorthak hearing while employing psychological tactics that drove alien defenders into panic attacks and mental breakdowns. Dr. Frank Miller accompanied the ground forces as they captured Vorthak research facilities and government buildings. His studies of alien psychology had revealed that the Empire's entire civilization was built on a foundation that humans had completely destroyed. The concept of unchanging hunter-prey relationships was central to Vorthak culture, and without it they had no identity left. The breakthrough came when Murphy's team reached the High Command, bunkered deep beneath the capital city. The alien leaders who had ordered the invasion of Earth were found cowering in their protective shelters like frightened animals. These creatures that had once commanded a galactic empire were reduced to traumatized beings unable to comprehend their own defeat. The Vorthak High Commander was captured alive along with his staff officers and government officials. When human interrogators questioned them, the aliens could only repeat that humans were impossible creatures that violated every natural law they understood. The prey had become predators, and the universe no longer made sense to them. Captain Rachel Kim's engineering teams discovered the full extent of Vorthak technology during their exploration of the homeworld. The aliens had built impressive machines and weapons, but everything was designed around rigid principles that could not adapt to unexpected challenges. Human flexibility and innovation had turned these advantages into fatal weaknesses. The war officially ended when the remaining Vorthak forces throughout the galaxy received surrender orders from their captured leadership. Many alien commanders were relieved to stop fighting an enemy that had become more terrifying than anything in their worst nightmares. The empire that had dominated 17 star systems was finished forever. In the aftermath, human forces discovered the true scope of Vorthak crimes across the galaxy. Entire civilizations had been harvested and consumed by the Empire over thousands of years. The aliens had left behind a trail of destruction that would take generations to repair, but their reign of terror was finally over. Admiral Morrison found himself commanding not just human forces but liberation fleets that included survivors from species the Vorthak had conquered. These aliens looked at humans with a mixture of gratitude and fear after seeing what humanity was capable of when threatened with extinction. The psychological transformation of the human military was complete. Soldiers who had started the war as defenders of their homeworld had become the galaxy's most feared fighting force. They had learned to think like predators while retaining the intelligence and creativity that made them uniquely dangerous. Dr. Patel's final research report documented humanity's evolution from apparent prey to apex predator in less than 1 year of warfare. The speed of this transformation had shocked even human scientists who witnessed it firsthand. When faced with extinction, humans had revealed their true nature as the most adaptive and dangerous species in known space. The galaxy's other civilizations approached Earth with cautious respect after learning what had happened to the Vorthak Empire. They understood that humans were not aggressive by nature, but could become terrifyingly effective when threatened. First contact with other species proceeded carefully, with everyone aware that underestimating humanity was a fatal mistake. Commander Zexthul spent his remaining days in a human prison facility designed for war criminals. The alien who had once been a proud hunter now suffered from severe psychological trauma caused by fighting creatures that should have been his prey. He would never understand how humans had become the thing he feared most in the universe.